What's going on, guys? Nick with the Long Haul Fitness Podcast, and today I got my boy Bernardo Costa. Bernardo Costa on today. What's up, dude? How are you?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Not bad, brother. Not bad. How you been during all this?
Oh, just staying active. Just getting creative, trying to find ways to still work out in quarantine. And then recently we've been hitting the gym again, right? Because good old
Yeah,
Texas. Nice.
I know, right? I'm so glad I'm not in North Carolina anymore. I've been talking to all my friends, and like a few of them have gyms starting to open back up, but most of my friends are still like quarantined right now. It's crazy.
I get messages on Instagram like, man, you're so lucky that you can use a gym. I'm like, yeah.
Are you getting any hate on it? Are people like sending you messages like talking shit about it?
No, just people like, man, I wish I could work out right now, the usual, but they're not like talking crap about it.
That's good. I had a few friends who were getting like crap about being back in the gym. Like, should you be doing that? Like, it's crazy. But
Yeah.
last time I saw you was like right before all this. It was like the last day the destination was open, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and you were still getting ready for a show at that time, right? You were like
It was.
8 weeks out, right?
I was about 8 weeks out. And yeah, it was New York Pro. So we know how that went. That got postponed twice actually. So after that, I was like, okay, let me try to do the Europa because the Europa is local. I won't have to travel, this and that. And that got postponed too. And I told myself if it did get postponed, I'd just wait until like the end of the year or something like that. So I was
Right.
hoping, it was my dream to be able to compete in the New York Pro, do well there, qualify for the Olympia, step on stage in the Olympia within this year. But that isn't going to happen. But I'm not too disappointed. I could have used the extra time anyway. Like I turned pro so quickly that it didn't give me enough. Like now this is time to kind of catch up and put myself a little bit at that higher caliber.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, so I met you not long after I first moved here before you turned pro. So when did you turned pro last year, like in September, October, right?
Yeah, September. Good memory, man.
Yeah. Well, I moved here in
The
August. I knew it
championships.
was really close to that.
Yeah, I think we met back when it was still the old destination, right? Before they
Yeah,
actually
did. Sure
moved to
did.
Allen. Yeah, and then that was when I think I had recently done the Battle of Texas. It wasn't too long
Yep.
ago. So I did the Battle of Texas, and then we did and then I did the USA Championships right after that, 9 months after that, really, because that was in December of 2018,
Mhm.
and then the USA in September. So yeah, that makes it 9 months apart, and then I was going to do the New York Pro, which would have been another about 9 months or
Hmm.
so. So things are moving pretty quick. It was
Yeah.
like boom, to qualify, boom, pro card, boom, first pro show. So, it gave me a little bit of time to slow down, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it gives you more time to grow, come in with more muscle maturity. Have you been like maintaining where you're at right now, or are you coming back up?
I went back up real fast. Like I have that like this set point at 280, and it just like as soon as I'll shoot up to 280 every single time. I'll,
Really?
but I'll just stay there after that, and I'll just kind of recomp from there. So
Okay.
my first my first NPC competition, I was at 245, but before that I was 236 on stage, and before that my very first one I was 220, 220, 23. So
Jump.
each year I jump about 10 pounds, and that 236, um the second time I competed was not as conditioned, I think. And then I got back on stage at the battle at 245-ish. And then actually at the USA's, I was lighter. I was 236 at the USA. So,
Wait, you were doing bodybuilding in all those first shows, right? And then when
yeah.
you at USA's is when you turned classic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I've done a total of 4 competitions.
Uh-huh.
Um, First two were for GBO. So, when I did GBO, I competed as an amateur in both classic and bodybuilding. And I turned pro for classic physique in there. And then I did my first pro show as classic. Um, didn't do as well as I wanted to. Obviously, I got eighth place. out of I think 13. So I was like right in the middle.
Not
Um,
bad.
but yeah, it's not. I mean, it could have been worse. I could have been dead last, but
The first time you got on a pro stage, I mean,
yeah,
not being known really. I mean, that's pretty cool. I wouldn't be mad at
yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm not. I was I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was disappointed at
Oh,
first,
sure.
but it was just fuel to the fire. And then I decided to, change over to NPC because it was a little bit more well established, a little more well known.
Sure.
Every time I would tell people I was a GVO pro, they'd be like, "Huh, what's that?" So I was kind of more motivated to the NPC, and then I did that,
Yeah.
the Battle of Texas, and then I did the nationals that qualified me to become a pro. So
Yeah.
I've done 4 in total, but
Okay.
NPC
What's your weight cutoff for classic?
255 now. Before it was 245.
That's not bad. I thought I remembered you had like when I met you and you were doing your cut, I remember you still had like a long ways to go down. Like I was like, damn, dude, that guy still got to cut that much. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And it's like I'm already picking up with like striated glutes, and I'm like, oh, I got another 15 pounds to lose. But
yeah, it's
I mean,
crazy.
like you can. It's surprising how much weight you can actually lose. It's water. In the final weeks, like I lose 10 pounds in peak week alone.
Yeah,
So at 245 or 250, a week or two after like out of the show, and then the last week I'll be, on the weigh-ins I'll be 236, 240. So it
yeah.
just like crazy.
That's crazy that like I've never had to drop that much. I've had to drop like 5 or 6, but I've never had to drop that much. But um, I was were you kind of a bigger kid when you were growing up? Like,
No, not really. I was always kind of skinny. I was always really lanky. I started at 170.
yeah, that's about the same for me, but I have a lot hard. Like 230 is my set point, so I have that kind of same thing. Once I start eating a lot again, I'll go back to 230 really fast, and then
Hmm.
trying to get above that gets difficult. But um, yeah, I think that has something to do with being small like that. So the fact that your fucking set point is 280 is crazy. But so how long have you been bodybuilding? Like, when did you get into fitness?
I got in to fitness in around 2010, 2011, 2010. It
Yep.
was kind of like during the summer. Um, my friend, I had met this guy named Dwight, my friend Dwight, and he was like the big kid in high school, right? Like he had like 17-inch arms in high school. So to us, that was a big deal. It was
Yeah,
like
for
this dude.
sure.
So like I at that time I had kind of worked out by myself, but I would just go down to the apartment gym and do nothing but like concentration curls, and then go back upstairs and play WoW for the rest of the day for the rest of the. So I was always like that scrawny nerd, and I got into fitness originally because I was tired of being called scrawny and lanky and stuff like that. I just wanted to fill out, right? Yeah. So, met him. He kind of started teaching me the ropes, more of the bro ropes, so to say. He's like
Oh yeah.
about anabolic window and like all this and that, He's like, oh yeah, man, you gotta get those carbs to help the protein be transported to the muscles, man. Gotta do it right at the anabolic window. Um, so stuff like that. But I mean, it worked. Like, I responded really fast to the training. Within like I think 6 months or so, I was up to like I had like put on like 20 pounds or something like that.
Wow.
Um, so I like started realizing I was like, I might be decent at this, and I just kept up with it. Ever since it became a habit, it just became like if I don't do it, I feel insane. So.
Yep. Yep. That's a very similar story to what I had. I mean, I started off small. I saw some friends of mine who were lifting and stuff like that, and just kind of followed suit with them. But college is where things really took off for me. You have a degree too, don't you?
Exercise science.
Yeah, yeah. Is it just your bachelor's?
Actually, I think you might be able to. Do you see it in the corner over there?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Corner. Little
Mine's out
hat.
of frame, but it's over there too. But yeah, like getting into kinesiology and stuff was a really big thing to kind of continue that because I was just learning so much more alongside of learning like my own body and stuff. So, how do you feel like college affected your bodybuilding career?
I think I kind of think it made me more focused, which might seem a little bit counterintuitive because you have so many distractions in college, but because I was already learning the subject, exercise science, and all of this and that, I was also training as a trainer at 24.
Yep.
So I was just kind of, going to school and going to work, and in between, my classes or whatever, I would work, and that's really all I had time for. But it kept me busy and it kept me
Yep.
focused because of that. I think the busier I am, generally, even though I'm more tired, I'm also more focused.
Yep.
And it did that for me because it just kind of made my mind all towards that. If I wasn't learning about it, I was doing it. If I wasn't doing it, I was teaching other people how to do it. So I'd go to school, I'd go work out, and then I'd start training clients, and I'd start kind of regurgitating, what I'd be learning and just reinforcing that. And I think that helped a lot.
For sure. I'm the same way. Like I wouldn't say that I'm the best student. I don't really study that well. And when somebody just talks at me, I don't really like, I'll hear it, but I don't fully grasp it until I apply it. So like I have to go and actually do the stuff. So yeah, I was kind of the same way where like I wasn't training people in college, but I was training myself. So I would kind of take some of the stuff I would learn and try to apply it to my training and see what the response would be. And then, I mean, nutrition was all bullshit in college. The nutrition classes were all stupid, so I didn't listen to any of that stuff. But yeah, I definitely think that all of that lining up definitely really helps kind of spur it along more. When did you decide you wanted to compete? Was that after college or in college?
That was during college. I think that was towards my senior year of college. It was 2016.
Yeah.
Graduated college 2018, I think. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see the date, but I graduated 2018, I think.
Yeah.
So it might have been 2017. I'm not sure, but it was around senior year of college. I know I competed. I know my competition date's better than my graduation date. That's just important to me, right? But I know for sure my first GBO competition was 2016, and I turned pro right after that. And I remember that was probably some of the most suffering I've ever had in my life. Like fighting for the first time, then going to school, and
Oh, for sure.
it was during December. So the competition was during December. So that's right when finals would fall. So it literally, I was stepping on stage the weekend after my finals.
Yep.
So it was during my finals. So I was basically no carb, and I was decent. I was a decent student. I was getting all A's for the most part until until the last week. And because I got all A's on all of my tests, and the last week I got like all C's on my tests because I just couldn't focus. That enabled me to still pass the class with like decent C's. But yeah, I kind of knew it would turn out that way, so I knew I would have to try really hard at the beginning so I could kind of slack off as I got more tired.
Right. Yeah, I have a very similar experience. I started competing like I went to school for 5 years, so it was in my third year that I started to compete, and I was working a part-time job, going to class, and doing all that stuff. And I did the same exact thing. The show was in November. I had finals and all that stuff, and like my teachers would be like, "Are you okay? You don't look."
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime I would go into a new class, I'd sit down with the teacher and be like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna look like I'm dying. I'm not. This is what's happening." And like,
report me to the
most of them were pretty understanding and really kind of worked with me a lot on it. But I actually competed 3 years in a row in college.
Oh wow!
The last 3 years that I was still in classes, I competed, and kept working the same job the entire time too. So it was just my schedule was just jam packed full of shit. And but what bodybuilding in general and finding that taught me was just like how far you can get with consistency and dedication to one thing. And like everything kind of has to get streamlined when you're in that mode, like, yeah, towards the end, you're going to start to be really fucked up and not be able to remember what your name is or where you're trying to go. But like, you have to set yourself up to where you can literally be a robot. So all of your days are planned out so perfectly that like, not only is your training and nutrition and everything on point, but everything else kind of has to be on point so that that one thing can be on point, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
to center your whole life around it so much that like you don't have time for bullshit. You don't have time to fuck up. You don't have time to fuck around. Like it's get it done and get the fuck out.
Mhm. Exactly, 100%. Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you don't get that shit done, like, they say if you want something done, give it to a busy man, right? Because that busy man is gonna make sure that he gets it done, and that's kind of the same thing of like why I feel more focused when I do have more going on, because like if you don't have a lot going on and you got to get a workout, you might put it off until at night, and then and then night comes around, something happens, you're like, oh shit, I couldn't get my workout in. But like when you're on a tight schedule and you only have that 1 hour in between classes to work out, and the rest of the day is going to be jam packed, like you have to make that hour, and you're going to make that hour because you have no other option. It forces you. So definitely, man, that's all. It's all a machine. It's all a process that we have to establish a system, and that system is all comprised of these little moving parts. And if one moving gear goes off, the other gears don't move along with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Um, were you an athlete in like high school and college? Did you compete? Like, were you an
Funny enough, I tried to become an athlete at the end of the year, at the end of senior year, senior year in high school, but I was just a bench warmer because they put all the seniors on varsity on football for my school. And I don't know if it's like that for other schools, but they did on mine. And so, being varsity, never having played football like in my life, the only even reason I did it was because that same friend of mine, Dwight, convinced me. And I really just wanted to get the workouts in. We didn't have a powerlifting team or anything. So if I joined football, that means that one of my classes was just
athlete?
and that's what I wanted. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just do that. Um, but as far as actually playing, I think I played. I don't even know if I accumulated a total of a minute on the field.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I was. I mean, I was always kind of athletic in the sense that, like, I was always kind of the kid that was like, when we would play sports, I would always be the faster one or whatever. As I was, but I never was super into sports. Like I played basketball, seventh and eighth grade.
Yeah.
I was okay at that. I wasn't anything crazy. And then in high school, I literally just played WoW, like pretty much for like 3 years straight, just nothing but World of Warcraft, and that's
That's
literally
great.
all I did.
That's awesome.
So I didn't care about doing anything else.
Yeah, see, I'm not and never have been an athlete. I have no hand-eye coordination. Don't throw anything at me. Don't expect me to run fast. Like, I was into video games myself, but I was playing like Call of Duty and stuff like that on Xbox and had no desire to work out or anything like that. So I was kind of curious if you did play sports because of like where your mindset is now. Like, because it does take a special person to do what you do and do this bodybuilding thing and actually do this bodybuilding thing, not just say you
Yes.
do it on Instagram. Um, like, I mean, how often have you seen somebody who's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna compete," and then they just are always gonna compete? Like,
Yeah.
it's like a gimmick for them. But like to actually put yourself through a full prep to where you come out looking like you're supposed to on stage, you have to have a certain mindset to get there. So, did it take you a while to kind of develop that, or did you feel like you've always had that?
I think I've always been obsessive to a fault on anything that I do. And that's why like I keep referring back to WoW, but that's why it sucked me in so bad, because like when I do something,
Or,
I'm 100% at it, and I don't have any middle ground when I do something. It's either 0 to 100. So like it's been like that with anything I've ever done, but it was just channeling that same energy
right.
into this, and I think it, it got to a point where I learned, that chasing the pain is what I needed to do here to be successful. And that's really something that I had to learn. I had to learn how to embrace the suffering. But as far as, I'm a pretty routine person. So I like routine. I like, that sort of scheduled life.
Yep.
Um, and I think that helps me. But yeah, the suffering, I think, is something I had to kind of become comfortable with becoming uncomfortable.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. I don't. honestly, I don't think I had that mindset to begin with. I was very lazy when I was younger and um, didn't really care at all. It was like, it was once I said to myself, I actually told my mom before I went to college, like, I don't want to be the small kid in college. Those words came out of my mouth. And like, it was like once I decided that for myself and started to see changes in myself, once I put the effort in, that's when like little things would start to change. Like first I was super dedicated with the workout and I really got that routine down and really got competitive with myself on that. And then once I got to college, I kind of started to work with diet a little bit because I was on my own and I had to figure out how to eat and that kind of thing. And it's like a slow morph over time where now it's becoming like, let's see how many good days I can put together in a row and and
Right.
and make that better. Where it's like, I know how hard I worked last time and I know how much I put into it. It's like, can I beat that this time? How much harder can I be on myself as far as my nutrition and my training and my mindset, and just how much can I put into it to be better than that time before? So it definitely becomes a game, but um, kind of what I'm getting at here is a lot of people um, feel like they're supposed to have that right away. I think it's something that you develop with time and putting yourself through the ringer and figuring out what it means to suffer and what it means to become a bodybuilder and encompass all those aspects.
Oh, 100%, man. I agree. I think it definitely didn't happen to me overnight. Like even though I am a 0 to 100 type of person, it wasn't like I woke up and I just did bodybuilding, because it's not like I knew what to do.
Right.
Um, like the way that you described it was basically how it happened to me. It was like a gradual morph,
Yeah.
right? Like I got really into, working out as far as like with the weights. And then it was, just working out every day. Like at first, I think I would work out pretty consistently
Mm-hmm.
and then stop for a month. And then I would like start back up when I realized I was losing my gains, and then I would stop again. And then finally, the third time around, I started and I didn't stop. And I think that was because I had met Dwight and I like started getting more of that guidance. I knew what to do.
Right.
And it was from, seeing the changes, like what you said, sticking to that routine, seeing the changes, and then realizing like, okay, now I'm missing my diet, and then starting to learn more about nutrition and starting to learn more about dieting,
Right.
and the two together. And then next thing you know, people are telling you like, hey, you should think about competing. You look like you could be competing. And then you kind of play with the idea. You're like, I don't know, this is a lot. And then you actually, you know, buckle down. At least me, I actually buckled down and did it. I found a coach and everything. And I think it was like, as soon as I decided and I signed up, it was like I went to the grocery store, and it was really like my first time really shopping for groceries. Before I would just get like my mom or someone to get me all that. And really just like from there, getting better at grocery shopping and the little kind of life hacks that comes along with that, and meal prepping, and all of that. And then eventually, like what you said, um, kind of trying to beat yourself every prep, because I think that every prep, we all kind of slip up here and there,
Yeah.
and we all have those, those nights or those, days where we know we weren't as good as we could have been.
Sure.
And trying to make it okay, I was 80% perfect this prep. What can I do at 85%? What can I do at 90%? How do I look like at 95%?
Right.
And I think that there's always something that you can, as long as you're honest with yourself, look back and be like, well, I fucked up here, here, and here. What if I did these right? And just gradually building up on that. What if I stacked 90 perfect days in a row instead of 60? So things like that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely it's all a learning process, and it's not something that you can really no one can just tell you, like this is how you're going to do it and this is how you're going to figure it out. It's literally just you kind of have to figure it out on your own. Like obviously you can talk to other people who have gone through the experience and whatnot, but you're only going to be able to grasp so much of it off that conversation. Um, so tell me a little bit about the training style that you have now. Like, what's your split look like? What are you doing as far as failure, all that kind of stuff?
So as far as my split, I'm doing a push pull leg split, and I've been on that for a while. It's probably one of my more favorite splits. I've tried upper, lower. I've tried, you know, the one muscle group a day kind of bro split, and I think that one just makes the most sense to me from just from organizing it from that perspective.
Sure.
Um, and I think for the past about 2 years, I've really been grasping programming a little bit better. Working with Jared Feather has really helped me um, because he started programming, you know, my workouts, and then I started kind of seeing what he would do and, you know, taking pages out of his book.
Sure.
And now I'm basically I do mesocycles usually anywhere from like 5 weeks to 8 weeks long, depending on kind of the phase of training. I do a little bit longer mesocycle if I'm like at a higher calorie intake, like a calorie surplus, because I feel like my recovery is just better before I have to deload.
Right.
Like I don't accumulate fatigue as quickly, obviously, because I have more food to recover from.
Mhm.
Uh, right now, I'm on my, I believe, fourth or fifth week of my mesocycle, and I'm making this one about a 7-to-1 paradigm. So it's going to be about 7 weeks long with a 1 week deload. And I build up volume gradually from week to week, and I also build up the RPE or intensity.
Mhm.
So you know, you could say RPE, you could say RIR. You know,
Yep.
would be rate of perceived exertion, or RIR, reps in the reserve. They're both kind of synonymous with each other, but one is just your actual effort, and the other one is the reps left in the tank, which is almost the same thing, right? But I'll progress that from week to week. So by like the third or fourth week, I'm probably hitting, you know, an uh, eight RPE, you know, 1 to 2 RIR, and I'm trying to kind of maintain that for about 3 weeks, you know, 3 to 4 weeks of getting pretty close to failure until my performance basically drops, and I can't beat myself at the gym, or I actually get worse, like my strength gets worse. And I'll usually start. It depends on like how I'm trying to bring something up. So if I'm trying to bring up like my arms a little bit more this cycle or something like that, I'll incorporate more of the set progression towards increasing the volume on my arms, right? So I recently started playing around with doing arms 4 times a week, which is basically just doing it on push days, on pull days, twice, right? Since I have push pull legs, I'm just hitting it every push and pull day. But I'm doing both triceps and biceps, regardless of the push or the pull. And you know, I started at about 3 sets per uh, per kind of session, right? So that started me at 12 total sets in the week, and I'll basically bump up a set per muscle group as each week progresses. So I might do, you know, 12 starting out in the first week, and then the next week I might bump it up to 14, and then the next week after that 16, and then after that 18, et cetera, et cetera. You When I start to hit about 20, you know, 20 plus, recovery definitely starts taking a hit. So that's when I can kind of just baseline it at there and kind of plateau it there. I'll just keep it at like 20 sets or so, maybe a little bit more. I can usually push a little more, like 22 or 24 sets. Um, and I'll progress my body parts based on what I'm trying to stimulate more of, right? So if, you know, I'm trying to grow more of my arms or whatever, the more of the set progression would have to be towards that. But because of that, I'm going to have to take away from some other body parts, or else I'd be accumulating fatigue too quickly. So
Right.
my chest, since that's I feel like a little bit more of a strong point, I've only been doing I've only been capping it at about 15 sets per week, and only going as high as 20. Sometimes with chest I can handle up to 30. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
kind of allocating the volume that I would be doing towards chest to my arms instead.
Or
Yeah, and that's just kind of my basic, you know, basic progression of things. And of course, I'm going to try to increase the weight with my exercises too. So I have a rep range that I try to hit for that cycle on certain exercises. So like on my compound lifts, this cycle I'm trying to hit like a more of an 8 to 12 rep range.
Okay.
So if I hit that top set or that top range, so to say, for most of my sets, then the next week I know that I'm safe to go up by like 5 pounds.
Sure.
But if I'm barely, hitting those 8 reps or whatever on a certain exercise, I'm gonna try to keep it and just beat myself in reps the next week around, or add in a set to increase the volume that way too. Usually with barbells, I can increase the weight pretty consistently by like 5 or so, just because it's the way that you're loading it. But with dumbbells, I find myself having to beat myself in reps and sets a lot more, just because if you do a 100-pound dumbbell incline press and you try to jump over to 105, it's a lot harder than if you had done a 225 incline bench press barbell and you just add 5 pounds to it.
Yeah.
So, it with dumbbell exercises, I tend to beat reps, and with barbell exercises, I tend to try to beat weight progression itself.
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it because, yeah, I mean, to go from 100 to 105, I mean, that's a big jump for one arm, especially when you're trying to stabilize. So, yeah, that's a good – I hadn't looked at it that way. That's really cool. I know you mentioned that you were working with somebody and he's really helping you figure out learn more about volume manipulation and stuff like that. And I was kind of in the same spot where I'm working with Chris Tuttle. He's doing my diet and stuff right now. And I've been doing my own training the whole time that we've been together. But I felt like I've been spinning my wheels a little bit and not really knowing where to go. So I actually hired John Jewett as well. I just paid him yesterday.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just learning more from him about how to manipulate that volume to get the results that you're after. And I want to take it as a learning experience and try to get as much knowledge from him as I can and start to apply it to like clients and stuff as well. So I think the fact that you brought up that you're an IFBB pro, you're a trainer yourself, but you have a trainer is a big thing. And I think a lot of people miss, like they start to ask like, oh, if I'm a trainer or I'm this or that, why would I need a coach? And it's like, because
I laugh at, and those are usually the people who do worse.
Why wouldn't you? It's like it's just like going to school, except I'm not paying it to an institution. I'm paying it to a person directly to get their knowledge. I've learned much more about this and what I enjoy from working with multiple coaches over the years than I ever did in the 5 years of college that I spent. Getting that detailed information from someone who is already seriously knowledgeable in the topic is like the best way to learn. So it's always, I mean, as a personal trainer yourself, I'm sure you hear it all the time. Like, oh, why would I need a trainer? Regardless of level of experience for that person, I think a lot of people can benefit from even just outside eyes looking in,
Oh yeah, 100%, man. I couldn't agree more. And it's usually like, the people, and I don't want, I'm not going to name anyone like specific, but I've seen people on on Instagram itself. Like I've seen exact cases of what you're talking about when they're like, I don't need a coach. Why would I need a coach if I'm going to learn my own body the best?
Right.
Stuff like that. And and you always see those people like just either stay the same or they actually get worse.
Right.
And they don't get anywhere, and then they wonder like, man, well, what do I need to do? And it's like, well, you need to learn more. Obviously there's something you're missing out, but the day that I feel like I've learned enough is probably going to be the day that I stop doing well, because there's never any time where you'll know everything. And even I coach other people, right? Like I coach other online clients, and even with them, it's I've had people come up. I've coached a former boss of mine, and I like when he came up to me asking for coaching, I was like, wait, you need coaching for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was weird, but everyone needs a new set of eyes. And especially like when I get really close to the competition, I get really neurotic, with everything going on and everything going in my head. It's nice to know that someone who isn't having all of that shit going on is making the plan for you, and all you have to stick to it. And I really like John Jewett. It's good that you hired him. I think we have a lot of. I found him recently on Instagram, and a lot of his posts are just like just fire, man. Like
crazy. Like for people who aren't into bodybuilding, they're like, man, that's too much. They're
yeah,
looking at it and they'll be like, oh, whatever. Like, why would you want to do that? But to people like you and I, it's like that guy knows what the fuck he's doing, and I need to
yeah,
figure out how he's
absolutely.
doing it.
Yeah, his weekly check-ins. He's like
It's crazy.
establishes everything. He's like, here's my calories, here's my body
Like,
weight, body composition.
it's so detailed.
Yeah, he's got his mesocycle progressions in there. He, even my coach Jared Feather re-shared his story about stiff-legged deadlifts, the other one that he made the other day, because he was doing like 405 or 495, but perfect form stiff-legged deadlift, and it was like that's stupid impressive. Like there's
Yeah.
can do more weight on stiff-legged deadlifts, but with the level of execution, like the proper technique that a lot of people overlook on stiff-legged deadlifts, like they don't know how to get their that proper like lordo the lumbar curve.
Yeah.
You're actually hyperextending your hip and actually pulling on those hammies even better. Like that type of subtle thing. Like some people don't even know how to flex their lower back. So it's those little things, like to us, I guess, that means
Yeah.
a lot.
For sure. Yeah. And it was just one of those things where like I felt like I I felt like I've known what I was doing enough to where I could experiment with myself for a little while and kind of mess around with training, and things have been going fine, but now it's to the point where like I feel like that knowledge is capped out, and
Mm.
I want to just tap into a resource and see what else I can learn, because he's got a very like a style that I like, and not only like him and Chris actually works with him as well and was like encouraged me to do it. And so I think it's just going to be a perfect combination of like Chris's knowledge with being a registered dietitian, and then John's knowledge of just like crazy detail on training. Like I'm super pumped to get this plan back. But yeah, I think it's important um, if you're going to make jumps in this sport or whatever you want to call it, you almost have to tap into other resources, like unless you plan on like it's already a marathon. You're already going to take like decades to get to maybe even close to your 100% potential. But if you do it all by yourself, it could take even longer, and you could still not even come close to your 100% versus having other people who can look at you and kind of help bump things along a little faster. I don't see. I feel like a lot of coaches get a bad reputation, and like hiring a coach seems to have a bad reputation.
Yeah, I think like yeah, I don't think I ever got, at least me personally, I never got a bad sense from someone who hired a coach. To me, if anything, it makes me see them in the light of like, okay, they're self-aware enough to know that they need help.
Yeah.
You know, um, but I think a lot of people who don't feel like they need the coach are they're kind of in that Dunning-Kruger effect curve, where you have that Dunning-Kruger curve where it's like you go up up up, and your knowledge in the subject, you might think you're here, right? If this is your level of expertise and this is like the time, like, or if this is a time and this is your level of expertise, you might think you're here, right, on that level of expertise with such a short little time that you've learned. Because when you first learn a subject, you learn so much all at once, and you think, oh, well, I got it all down. And then you learn it more and more time passes by, and then your confidence kind of comes down, and you're kind of like, oh, wait, there's still a lot of unanswered things that even the experts don't know. And then it kind of goes back up, but it never goes back up to that same level
Right.
of confidence that you had in the beginning. Like I remember when I first started learning how to train people and everything like that, it was very black and white. It was like, yeah, man, your 3 to 6 rep range is your strength and power phase, your 10 to 12 or 15 rep range is your hypertrophy, yada, yada, yada. And, it wasn't until maybe a year or two ago that I really started reading stuff up and listening to the experts in the field. And they're like, well, actually, we've just been realizing that anywhere from 5 to 30 reps is fine as long as it's above 50% of your 1RM and you're getting close enough to failure. Like, we don't see that many differences in growth. And it's not like it's not like strength is exclusive to just the rep ranges, and things like that. So you start realizing, you're like, oh, well, shit, things aren't black and white. Like, there
Yeah.
are a bunch of ways to go about it. So it's like, the more you know, the more you don't know.
Oh, for sure. It's like every time you think you have it, there's always a but or an and or an or.
Uh-huh.
There's always something else where it's like, okay, I've got this down, this is working. Oh, but wait, maybe there's always something to be exploring. Like, I don't think I mean, that's with any topic, I mean, if you think you know it all, you know nothing. It's the people who ask those questions and continue to go on, and nothing, you almost can't ever give a 100% for sure answer to almost any question with fitness, because there is so much stuff that's so open-ended. Because like, for the most part, most people are going to respond amazingly as far as muscle building from the 10 to 15 rep range. But there's always going to be that person who's a complete outlier who grows muscle like crazy doing fours. Like, there's always these situations where someone's just going to be just enough of a tweak where it's going to be outside of that normal paradigm, where you now have to think outside the box to get them to respond. There's always going to be that thing where you have to find the next answer. You have to find the next thing. So it's always a game to figure out whatever you can figure out. What about your nutrition with all this? How do you do your nutrition?
So I feel like my nutrition is pretty simple. I I focus a lot on just the staples, like, your basic bodybuilder stuff, chicken and rice, ground turkey. I think ground turkey and chicken are probably like my two top consumed meats, lean meats. I'll do 93% ground turkey. When I'm closer to prep, I'll do 99% for the lower fat intake. And I track all my stuff via MyFitnessPal. So I weigh all my stuff year round. People might think it's a little crazy, but I like the peace of mind knowing that I'm getting exactly 6 ounces of chicken and whatever 180 grams of rice. But I'll like, right now I'm at about 5,000 calories. And I'm not clean right now. I'm not perfectly clean. I'm probably cheating like 3 times a week on, maybe like Chick-fil-A or something like that, but
That's my go-to, man.
yeah, Chick-fil-A. I mean, it's like a less guilty pleasure, right?
But it's still awful for you.
Yeah, it's amazingly tasty, but it's probably bad for you.
Hey, hold that thought right quick. I got to use the bathroom really bad.
Yeah, man, for sure.
All right, I'll have to crop that little bit out, but it'll be all right. I'll crop that out, but
Here we go. Yeah, I figured.
I was about to pop over here, but
ready.
yeah, I'm about to work out here in a minute. I'm just going to go to my apartment gym, but yeah. So Are you in like a maintenance phase right now, or are you trying to
Yeah,
grow?
basically, I'm not trying to grow too aggressively. I am what I would call an amassing phase because I am at a surplus, but I'm not too aggressive with it. I think 5,000 calories puts me, I think, at about a 250 calorie surplus, depending on how active I am that day.
Yeah.
Calorie range from what I've been tracking so far is anywhere from like 4,500 calories to 4,800 calories for my maintenance when I'm working out 6 days a week and I'm going to work and everything like that. So,
Mhm.
because I work as a trainer too, so I'm getting a lot of steps in. Um, yeah, that kind of holds my weight pretty steady at 280. I'm really not trying to go over 280
Sure.
just because I know that I can get from 280 to my stage weight because I've done that before.
Right.
I'm leaner 280 now because I had to make that. I did that cut and I cut down to about my lowest was 255, which was right at my stage cutoff
Yeah.
before everything got canceled and I decided to go back into a massing phase. So when I went back into the massing phase, my body weight shot back up to 280 in a matter of about 2 to 3 weeks. It was super fast. Um,
Jesus.
yeah, and a lot of it was just glycogen. A lot of it was just like
Oh yeah.
compensation. Like, I would say maybe 10 pounds of it I put on back on as like fat. But I think a good majority of it was just the water weight that I started putting back on. And even my measurements themselves, like visually, body fat wise, I can tell I only gained maybe 10 pounds, but on the scale, I gained, 25.
Yeah.
So, you know, 15 pounds of that I think is water and glycogen. And my arms were at 255. My arms had measured at 19.25, and now they're back up to 2.5 or 20.5. So, you know, you don't put on 1.25 inches in your arms from
No.
your muscle, that's for sure. So it's got to be.
Hey, but that super compensation phase is one of the most fun times ever because you just
Oh, it is, dude.
look ridiculous because you're
You
still
soak
shredded.
everything up.
You're still shredded, but your body is just like a balloon. And that
I know.
I started to cut probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and I'm like part of this YouTube thing will be like documenting that process. And like that's one of the most like I'm so excited about that is finishing the
Mhm.
cut to start to eat again and getting that blow up phase again.
Yeah, man. Especially like your perception of life after suffering for so long.
Oh,
Like when you really, really suffer and you really get deep into prep and then everything, and then you finish your competition, you did well, everything's good. Next day, you can literally wake up, you can have as many cups of coffee as you want
oh
with
yeah.
as you want. You can have as many egg yolks as you want. Like you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I
And
can make whatever choices I want right now. I could go and get a donut if I want. You know what I mean? And then you go and you get the donut and you realize it was a bad idea because your body can't handle it. And you're like, oh
well,
God.
but it tastes so good. It's like that first burger that you have after like cutting for that long is just like an orgasm. It's just like
I know, dude. It's like an orgasm in your mouth.
it's,
You're just like,
it's so
coming
delicious.
the
It
day and
makes you
night. It's just
appreciate
so good.
food so much. Like all I've been wanting is Whataburger, so I can only imagine how good it's going to be when I can finally have it again.
Yeah. And that's something I tell myself too to motivate myself is like the longer I go without something, the sweeter it
Yep.
becomes.
Yep.
And then like the more often I have it, the more I just take it for granted. So
Right.
like I'm wanting that cheat meal. I'm like, man, yeah, you could have one right now and then you'll feel guilty after. Or just imagine waiting even longer, how much better it'll feel.
Right. Well, I won't keep you on much longer. I know you want to go work out. Where are you training people right now, and like, what's all your Instagram, and where can people find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at b_costa.fit. I'm training people right now at the Fitsmith in Irving. I'm thinking about starting to train people at Destination Dallas, but I can also train people at LA Fitness. What I really want to try to get going a little bit more is my online coaching.
Sure.
Just it's a lot more accessible to people, and I feel like I can help more people. who are competitors at least, you know, than one-on-ones. I feel like one-on-one is great for the general population, but when you have someone who's more experienced, you know, getting that nitty-gritty program design is way more fun, I think. That online coaching
Oh
is
yeah.
but yeah, I'm taking on more clients, so little plug right there.
Yeah, sure, man. That's what I want you to do. Is plug whatever you want to.
Yeah, appreciate it,
Where
appreciate it.
where should they reach out to you if they want your coaching and training?
Yeah, you can message me on Instagram. You can email me at Bernardo C Costa at me.com. And you can also hit me up on if you Google the Fitsmith, the website will pop right up, and then I'm under there, and you can schedule a session with me and everything.
Perfect. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to have you back on at some time or at some point in the future too. We'll touch
Yeah,
base again after you've done your first pro show. See how that
yeah, I
goes.
think it'll be a fun recap.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, brother. Well, I hope you have a good workout. Okay.
You too, man. Have a good one.
All right. Peace.